Hey everyone, welcome to DittDott. My name is Amanda, and I'm sure at some point you will see my shadow, Watson the pug. Today I am making garlic bread knots and to go along with my dinner tonight, which will be a beef and vegetable soup. I'm going to film that as a separate video and put it up, at a later date. But for this video, it'll be focused on the garlic bread knots. It's basically a pizza dough that we're gonna turn into the little knot shape. In a previous video, I made pizza dough using a KitchenAid mixer, but for some reason, the last couple weeks, I've really been into making bread dough by hand. So if you don't have a mixer, this video is for you. There's just something about making bread doughs by hand that is just super satisfying. Well, this is a yeast dough, so the first thing we're going to do is take 1 cup of very warm water. You want it to be warm enough to wake up the yeast and get it to proof, but not so hot that you can't touch it. Either use one of those little yeast packets that's pre-measured out, or you're going to use about 2.5 teaspoons of yeast. Now, one thing that I like about bread doughs, other than any other baking, is that you don't have to be super precise in most bread doughs. I'm sure there are some that are more precise. And then this is some sugar, and I'm going to use about 2 teaspoons of just plain white sugar is fine. And then we're going to give this a stir, and that's going to let the yeast proof. It's going to wake it up, and it'll get nice and bubbly. If your yeast does not bubble at this stage, throw it out. You cannot make the recipe. Don't even try, it won't work. Yeast will get old after a while. I store this in my refrigerator, which will keep it active for a lot longer. All right, so just gave it a decent stir there. While it's proofing, I'm gonna go ahead and move over to the flour. I'm gonna start off with about 2 cups of flour. And the reason why you say about is because how much flour you use is determined by the moisture in the air. And I know that makes it sound like bread doughs are super complicated, but honestly, once you figure out what texture you're going for, it's all going to be fine. So I'm just starting off with 2 cups of flour, and then this is some extra virgin olive oil. And I'm just giving it, a couple swirls. So it's gonna be like a tablespoon, maybe 2. Again, it doesn't have to be super precise. And then about a teaspoon of salt. I'm gonna go ahead and mix this olive oil into the dough, so that way into the flour. You wanna kind of get it to that sandy, crumbly texture. That way your salt gets evenly dispersed too. And you can see my yeast is, I wish I had it zoomed in on there. It just bubbled up. So my yeast is very happy. It's starting to proof. And let me show you, because I'm all about the textures at the different stages. So right now you see there are some lumps of here, and that is the olive oil into the flour. So it's just kind of a sandy texture. And then yeast, you can see the bubbles starting to form on the top of the yeast. I've got to keep an eye on the clock today because my kids are at day camp and I'll have to leave to go pick them up, but I'll have time to get this and let it rise and proof, because it's going to take about an hour to do its first proof. Since I know this yeast is nice and happy, I can go ahead and add it into my flour. The sugar also is food for the yeast, and it helps activate it. I made sure my counter was nice and clean since I am going to be kneading on the counter, and I don't want to use a cleaner that has strong chemicals that would, affect my food. So I just washed it with soap and water. And at this stage, it's going to be a gloopy mess. And I'm just using a firm spatula, a spoonula, I think these things are called. At this point, I can tell that I'm going to need more flour. So I'm gonna add in just a little bit at a time. Actually, I'm gonna do maybe a 1/4 cup there. I'm gonna spin this a couple more times, and then it'll be time to start kneading it by hand. Okay, so now I can see that my flour is coming together. It's not super shaggy. It is formed into one ball. There's a little bit of extra flour dust in this bowl, so I'm gonna actually just use that on the counter. We are going to fold it over and knead it. So you just fold and knead, fold and kind of roll it away from you. And you are going to do this for a while. This is a workout. What we're doing is activating the gluten in the wheat, and that's going to give you that nice bouncy texture that we want. So I can already tell just by feeling, if you look, my hands are covered in little bits of flour. This dough is still too wet. So I'm going to dust quite liberally and work this flour into my dough. So I've got a pile of flour here that I'm working the dough into, and it will pick up some of that, but it won't pick it up if it's to that saturation point where it doesn't need more flour. I'm not wearing an apron today. I try to remember to put aprons on when I'm doing dough. I never remember. I'm just not the apron generation. That makes me feel kind of youngish. Now, I know people my age who do wear aprons, but I just never like them. We are going to keep kneading at this for, like I said, at least 5 minutes. Basically what we want it to do. See, now I can tell it's at a stage where it doesn't need any more flour. It's nice and soft. It feels like just really nice Play-Doh, but it's still a little tacky and it's very dull. So we're gonna keep working this until there is more of a shiny gloss to it. So I'm gonna go ahead and fast forward and through the magic of editing, bring you up to speed after I've been kneading for quite a while. All right, so already it's getting it's not like shiny yet, but it's much more smooth surface. And it's just super soft. It doesn't stick to my hand as I'm, touching it. And I'm gonna keep kneading it for a few more minutes. Here's some of my favorite kneading moves. So I like to do this, call it my ab twist kneading. That's why one thing, the KitchenAid mixer obviously is a convenience. It does it a lot faster, but you just don't get to have fun like this. And it's loud. I like quiet. My kids are at day camp this week and the house is just so quiet. And I don't want to listen to a loud machine right now. I don't know. And then another fun one is just to kind of roll it out, bring it back, fold it over, roll it out. There's no wrong way to do this. So I am not an expert bread maker, but I like making dough. I don't know why, because I am not a baker. When I try to bake things, most of the time, they're decent at best, if not a fail. Cooking, you don't have to measure and be precise. Baking, you have to, rely on measurements a lot more. But doughs for me somehow are a happy medium. There's some measuring, like I did measure, roughly. But for the most part, you can just be kind of loose, and it's all about learning the final product. So the last thing I like to do, so now I got this nice, beautiful ball, is I like to give it some pats. I don't know why, I don't know if it actually does anything. Oh, you can also do this method. I have heard that throwing it down actually does do something. I don't know, but it's fun, so do it. Okay, so now it is starting to get shiny. I don't know if it'll show up on camera, but let me bring it up close. My lighting isn't super great in here, but there is starting to get a nice gloss to this. So give it a nice spray or rub down with any kind of oil. Then what I like to do is put it face down, flip it over, and then that gives that little oil sheen on top. That's if you don't have a spray and you're just doing the oil drippy method and rubbing the oil down. But if you have a spray, you can spray the top. And then we are going to cover this with either a plastic film or a clean kitchen towel. And we're going to set it aside. This is enough to make one large pizza, or, I'm not sure how many garlic knots we'll get out of it, but quite a few. We're gonna set it aside in a warm, not drafty place, that's important, and let it rise for at least an hour. It should double in size. All right, so our dough has been proofing and it's ready to start to make into knots. I've got some beef soup on the stove behind me. You'll be able to watch that in an upcoming video. and it's doubled in size. So I'm gonna punch it down. That's like the best part. I don't know, I just love that noise. Uh-oh, there's something. I don't want to use cleaner. Man, I guess a little zealous with the oil this time. So yeah, it's, oh my gosh, it's so soft and just like smooth. You can barely see it, but what we're gonna do is pull off a small ball, roll it out, and tie it in a knot. That is it. We're gonna do that until we run out of dough. So golf ball size, roll it out into about, 2 hands worth. If I got both my hands together like that, and just tie it into its knot. And you don't want them touching. I mean, if they do, it's not the end of the world, but they're gonna proof again, so we want them to have room to expand. And then we will top them with a butter sauce and bake them. So I'm just gonna stand here and make up a bunch of, that one's a little big. Just gonna make up a bunch of knots and we'll be back in a little bit. I have a tray here of the garlic knots, and I'm just gonna use that same plastic cover that I had from earlier. Give them a cover, and we want them to proof probably for like 30 minutes, but honestly, it's gonna be a lot longer because I've got to leave here to pick up my kids from day camp, which it's actually pretty far away, so it's gonna take me a while. It'll be fine. And we'll be back to finish these up. All right, I am back. The kids are back from camp. One of them's already upstairs taking a shower. These have pretty much doubled in size. So I'm gonna take the plastic off carefully, and I don't want to deflate them down now, so I'm being very careful. And I forgot to mention, obviously, that before you twist them, after that first rise is when you can punch it down and then just roll it out to a pizza crust, top it like you would a pizza, and bake it. But if you wanna do the garlic knots, giving it time to do a second proof will give you these gorgeous, beautiful, obviously garlic knots. Anyway, so I have a little bowl here of just about a half a stick of butter that I melted in the microwave, and I'm going to add some salt. And surprisingly, I'm going to use garlic powder. I don't want to use fresh garlic because it'll burn, and then I feel like you just get like these random pieces of garlic, not the whole thing coated in that garlicky flavor. So I actually like using garlic powder, and you can go as heavy or light as you like. This isn't garlic salt, it's just garlic powder, dehydrated garlic. And then I'm gonna use some onion powder. And then after they're baked, I'm going to sprinkle them with some parsley. But I don't wanna put the parsley on first because then the parsley will just turn brown in the oven. So my oven is preheating to 425 degrees, I think. And these will probably only take like 12-ish minutes. I'm gonna keep my eye on them. So I'm gonna kind of incorporate that salt, the garlic powder, and the onion powder. I probably used too much butter here, but is there such a thing? And then I'm just going to delicately brush these on liberally. I think I hear a kiddo. Do I hear a kiddo? Oh, I'm filming.
Oh, yeah.
Do you need something?
I was gonna get a snack because I'm hungry.
I thought you had one in the car.
Well, yeah, but I had a couple of grapes. I ate. Well, I'm still hungry because there wasn't enough of them.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna grab a couple of blueberries.
All right, so I'm just gonna continue to, oh, maybe I didn't have too much butter after all, because this is going on, because I want it to be nice and that garlicky, buttery, yummy flavor. So let me finish these up. We'll pop them in the oven and I'll show you the finished result. So here they are out of the oven. This was 12 minutes. They are nice and golden brown. They smell like amazing. These would be really good to serve with some marinara dip next to your pasta, or in this case, I'm gonna serve them with a big bowl of vegetable beef soup. They're soft and fluffy. I'm gonna take a bite of one. Okay, We like to order pizza from this fancy like pizza place every once in a while, and they last time gave us an order of free garlic knots. These knock those out of the park. They're so fluffy on the inside, and with that garlic, oh yeah, I was gonna sprinkle some parsley on top. Let me do that real quick. That just makes them look fancier. With that garlic powder instead of actual garlic, crushed up garlic clove, which, you know, normally I would love. It just intensifies the garlic flavor. Now, another way to get that is if you wanted to saute your butter in a small skillet with a garlic clove, very low and slow for like 15 minutes to infuse the garlic flavor into the butter. That would be another way to get like the same result. Well, honestly, I kind of like the garlic powder. I don't know. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm going to eat this, like the whole family. Like I'm the cook. I get to have an extra one, right? That's the rules, right? Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you would take a moment to hit that like button down there, that really helps me out with the algorithm. And I let other people see the video. And if you enjoyed, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can see the beef and vegetable soup video that's going to come out soon and other great cooking content from me. So until next time, I'll see you soon.